Hello! In today's video I have a very interesting and cool lock for you, and it's the Miwa E6. This lock is a magnetic slider lock and it adds 6 more dimple rings on the top. That's the difference between the Miwa EC and Miwa E6. This one has extra pins on the top. Now, before I start, I will tell you why I won't be cutting this lock. There is a steel pin right in here that I guess should be drilled in order to remove this core out, but I don't want to do this because it's a destructive method and this is too nice of a lock to destroy it. So, but I will try my best to explain that what's happening inside. Okay, so let's start with the obvious stuff. This is the key. You can see the dimple bitting on the top. These dimples, based on the feedback, I guess there are 2 spools and they are not too difficult per se, but what makes them kind of tricky is the shape of the keyway. You can see that there is like a center post sticking out from the bottom and it kind of gets in your way and prevents you from leveraging your pick nicely. So to overcome this, I was using this multi-pick number 10 flag and I was picking with the back of it, and this allowed me to nicely place the shaft at the bottom of the keyway and bend around that center post, and I could get comfortably around the dimples, under the dimples. So this made my life really easier. So that was the obvious stuff, 6 pins on the top. And now we also have a secondary locking mechanism, and it's the magnetic sliders. So we have 2 on the left and 3 on the right, and they're located, or they're resting in 2 Bibles that run on the sides of the plug. And what these do is that they are basically sprung inwards into the plug. There are holes in the plug and they extend across the shear line. So they are basically blocking the rotation of the plug in the same way like driver pins do. They are basically stuck across the shear line, and when you insert the key, what this key does is that it basically repels them out of the plug into the housing, and then the cylinder or the plug can turn. So the point of this key is to repel the magnets out. So to pick this, we need something to mimic the function of this key. You can see that we have seven magnets in here, and on the other side is the same, but not all of these are actually real magnets. Some of these are just dummies, and only some of them are repelling, of course, because it's never fully populated, I guess, this lock. So in order to pick this lock, we have to construct 2 magnetic picks. Nothing too difficult. It's 2 times 1 neodymium magnets on a broken pick. And what's important, you need to make these of opposite polarities. So when you do the gluing of the magnets, you want to make sure that these attract, okay, these stick to each other. So that way you know that they are opposite polarity. When you have this done, you can start decoding the key. So you take one pick and you start going magnet by magnet and look for the one that is repelling your pick. So 1, nothing there, 2, nothing, or some, you can also get some attraction as well, but that is not interesting for you. You are just looking for the magnet that is repelling. Okay, it's 4. Nice. So now we know that on position 4 we have a magnet that is repelled by this pick. So we will do a marking like this. Okay, so you will just put the pick next to the key and look where is the key bow or where the key stops, and then you will do a marking on the pick. Okay, so it's almost faded, but I can see it. And this way you will continue. So we have no more magnets on the left side that would be repelled by this pick. So we will take the other pick and do the same. No repelling here, no here, but on 7 that's a repelling. So we can do a marking right here. Please ignore these other markings. I was just using this for other locks as well, but I understand it. You can make it much more legible, I guess, if you want. So we have two magnets that are interesting for us on the left side, so we can mark that down, and we do the same for the other side. So again, looking for the magnets that are okay, that are repelling, so I can see that's number 5 and also number 4. So we do the markings and then we are ready basically to pick this lock. So for tensioning, it's all can be also kind of awkward because you sort of need to float pick, or at least I did. Just relying on the spring tension was not enough for me, so I ended up using this, I don't know what it is, just a Frankenstein kind of thing I was using for other locks, but but it ended up being a perfect fit for this one. So yeah, but if you can find something else, more power to you, feel free to use it, or even something that can get stuck like in the middle of QA so you don't have to swap them. But anyway, the process of picking is pretty straightforward. First, you need to pick the top. I guess it always binds first. Then you will get a nice deep fall set and you can start moving or start picking the magnets. So in order to do this, you don't need like this piezoelectric microphone or this amplifier. I used it during my pick, but only for you to hear it better. But you don't need it because you can hear the magnets like without any external help. It's kind of it's easy to hear. So what you are looking for is basically silence, right? Because if you go, let's hear if you can hear something. Okay, so I'm getting some clicking on 7, and that means this this magnet is certainly not binding. If I went with my pick in there and positioned myself on 7 and I would not hear any sound, it means that this magnet is binding and I need to pick it. So basically what you do is you just you park yourself with the pick exactly at the position where the magnet is. You can also apply some lateral pressure in order to fix the pick to the side of the keyway, and then start counter-rotating. And as soon as you hear a tiny little click, you reapply tension and then test. And if you start hearing some clicking again, it means you managed to set that magnet. So yeah, one thing that can be confusing is that, or you have to learn, is that a magnet that is completely not binding will sound different than a magnet that is set. So a not binding magnet gives a very clear and loud sound, almost sharp in its nature, but a magnet that has been set gives you some sound, but it's much more subtle, but it's still something you can hear with your ears. You will hear it, I guess, a lot better because I was using this mic in there. But yeah, that's one thing that you should be wary about. In my lock and also in other EC locks I was looking up on YouTube, the side's isolated, so I don't guarantee you that this will isolate as well, but it should isolate. So first you get binding on one side, and after you get it picked, you will get binding on the other side. Okay, so that's all there is to this lock. Just listening, and if you don't hear a sound where a magnet is, it means that it's binding. Release tension until you hear a click. You can do this like little motions with it, but it's not required. I was doing it as well. You can help yourself like by doing it. But if you, as soon as you hear a click, you reapply tension, test for sound, and if you get this subtle little clicking, it means you managed to set the magnet. So that's it. That's all there is to it. It's kind of intimidating at first, but the feedback is pretty clear. So if you get your hands on this lock, I definitely recommend you trying it. It's a very fun pick, and something is just fun, I guess. Okay, so I think I talked long enough, so let's go ahead and get this lock picked. Okay, let's go. key works. Put in some tension, going counterclockwise, and start working on those dimples. Nothing on 1. I will click on 2. I will click on 5. Click on 6. Back to 1, nothing there. 2 is good, 3 is good, 4 is binding. Click there. I will click on 5 as well. Back to 1, nothing, 2, nothing. I touched 3 and we fell into a little falset. Okay, so 3 is binding now. Counter rotation on him. Got him set. 1. Binding. Counter rotation. And we fell into an even deeper falset. So I think we have the top picked now. Let's move to the sliders. So I know that the sliders on the left are binding first. So let me turn this mic on. Hopefully it's recording. It should. And start working on these sliders. So let's listen. Nothing on this one, no sound. So release some tension. And you can hear it click there and started rattling. So I managed to set him. And now this one in the back. No sound. So release tension. Click there and sound again. Let's check this guy. Okay, we have sound there, so that's good. It means the left side is picked. Moving on to the right side. So we should get some silence now, if it's binding. Okay, so this one is probably set, it's 4. But 5 is not giving me any sound. So I'm on him now, releasing tension. Okay, I'm getting clicking out of him now. And from 4 as well. So let's check the other polarity. Okay, so silence here. So release tension. Okay, there was a click and the slider is rattling. So I guess we dropped something because lock is not open. Okay, I guess it was 4 again. Because 5 is rattling, as you can hear. So let's move to 4 again. Releasing tension. Click there and then open. So nice, pretty fun pick, honestly. I will just show you that indeed the steel pin I mentioned is still there. Nothing has been tampered with. This screw is still stripped and this pin is still not drilled, so no tampering involved. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you made it this far, I really recommend trying this lock. It's not too hard and it's something really refreshing after all the dimples and pin tumblers. So this is a really nice mechanism and a fun pick, honestly. Thanks again and see you next time.